Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports, and this is the first episode of the new year, and I'm just tickled pink, and that's hard to do because I'm a dark-skinned brother. So, but we have the first lady of sports talk, the one and only Cheryl Smith. We got Goddess Kelli, the Diva of sports debate, and we got CJ out of Chicago, and we kicking off the new year. We have a special guest. I do mean special. We got Mr. Dunn Pearson Jr., an inspiring writer whose latest book, Masculine Vulnerabilities, is about to be released. You know, I like a vulnerable brother, you know, who put his heart on that. They're his CCCII show. Welcome to the show, Dunn. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Happy New Year to everybody. Sports year, and it's a good time to read a good book, and that's mine. All right.
Hey, man, as cold as it is up in the north, you might as well get that cup of whatever, that hot toddy, get that going and snuggle up and read my man's book. He'll be able to give you all the facts later on in the show. Now, check out the music this week on Shout Out. We are featuring performances from Ish Ella. Well, he find his shining star or gets a cold, and it's cold outside. Feel of the mute button, you know. And, you know, one thing I got to mention, you know, I'm checking out Brother Dunn. And, you know, the brother stepped in. Now, one, I knew he had something going on when he came in with them gators. And, you know, I was like, yeah, my man came in with them gators, and then he got some of that smell good stuff on, because, you know, I saw the first lady sniffing. I saw her sniffing, so you was doing it right, brother. And I like that haircut you got, too, you know. So I'm going to have to talk to the brother a little later on to see if I can get some tips, you know, on how to roll, you know. Ordinarily we got have our funny ladies, but the production assistants was sleeping on the job. They still hung over from the New Year's Eve party, and it's been 5 days. So you know they was just overdoing it. But we got a little old-time clip from some old-time comics that you might enjoy in place of the funny ladies this week. Check them out so that we can get our giggle on. Welcome. You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports, and this is the first episode of the new year, and I'm just tickled pink, and that's hard to do because I'm a dark-skinned brother. So, but we have the first lady of sports talk, the one and only Cheryl Smith. We got Goddess Kelli, the Diva of sports debate, and we got CJ out of Chicago, and we kicking off the new year. We have a special guest. I do mean special. We got Mr. Dunn Pearson Jr., an inspiring writer whose latest book, Masculine Vulnerabilities, is about to be released. You know, I like a vulnerable brother, you know, who put his heart on that. They're his CCCII show. Welcome to the show, Dunn. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Happy New Year to everybody. Sports year, and it's a good time to read a good book, and that's mine. All right.
Hey, man, as cold as it is up in the north, you might as well get that cup of whatever, that hot toddy, get that going and snuggle up and read my man's book. He'll be able to give you all the facts later on in the show. Now, check out the music this week on Shout Out. We are featuring performances from Ish Ella. Well, he find his shining star or gets a cold, and it's cold outside. Feel of the mute button, you know. And, you know, one thing I got to mention, you know, I'm checking out Brother Dunn. And, you know, the brother stepped in. Now, one, I knew he had something going on when he came in with them gators. And, you know, I was like, yeah, my man came in with them gators, and then he got some of that smell good stuff on, because, you know, I saw the first lady sniffing. I saw her sniffing, so you was doing it right, brother. And I like that haircut you got, too, you know. So I'm going to have to talk to the brother a little later on to see if I can get some tips, you know, on how to roll, you know. Ordinarily we got have our funny ladies, but the production assistants was sleeping on the job. They still hung over from the New Year's Eve party, and it's been 5 days. So you know they was just overdoing it. But we got a little old time clip from some old time comics that you might enjoy in place of the funny ladies this week. Check them out so that we can get our giggle on.
The first quarter, but still, he has no touchdown in that last game and one interception in the one quarter. I mean, at this point, I just think they will be a one and done in the playoffs because to me, the Saints, the Rams, the Falcons, or the Panthers, because those are the teams that they can possibly play, are better than the Eagles with Nick Foles as the quarterback. I mean, he doesn't have that experience. He as far as playing in playoffs, I believe he did play in playoffs when he was with the Eagles. I believe I have to go back and check that, but I still think he is going to be their Achilles heel because he's not a good quarterback. And it's a shame because the Eagles, they had a fantastic year. Carson Wentz, I mean, if Carson Wentz was playing, I would definitely say the Eagles could win the Super Bowl. They just can't even win their game when they play. They won't be able to win. It's just impossible with Nick Foles as a quarterback. Now, moving on to the Cowboys, I really think the main problem for the Cowboys, it was definitely the problem with Zeke Elliott. The fact that he did not play those last 6 games. And, they also had some other injuries. They had Tyrone Smith. He was out several games. That's the reason why Dak Prescott didn't look good because he was getting pressured because Tyrone Smith wasn't there to protect him. And I think the Cowboys are going to be good next year. As far as Dez Bryant, it's time for them to move on from Dez Bryant. He definitely needs to be traded, and they can trade him now while he still has some value. And believe me, the value is very low at this point in time, but at least try to get rid of him. The coach, what can you say about the coach? The coach is just a mediocre coach, but there's nothing more to say about that because he's going to be sticking around. As I said the other week, that's Jerry Jones' number 2 son, so it's definitely not going anywhere. And I just think, given all the Cowboys' problems, I definitely think that, they could do well next year. And the Eagles, as long as Carson Wentz can return in full form, he's going to be good with that team, and that team's going to do well as long as he can stay healthy, because so goes the Eagles as Carson Wentz goes. Dunn, what's your feeling on this situation with the Eagles and the Cowboys?
Well, it's pretty simple. I'm here in New York, and, I'm a New York fan, always will be.
Hey,
So
I know what you mean.
our attitude here is never the Cowboys and maybe the Eagles. So I thought that the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl, and since we were so horrible this year, we don't even want to talk about our team. That I was rooting for the Eagles, but I agree. When Carson Wentz went down, I started shaking my head because we already know the Philly fans. I've been watching them for years. They already doom and gloom. So they're now expecting, well, you just gave them an excuse. They now have an excuse. One and done. Well, we figured they didn't have an excuse. They're going home. They're great at being a front runner. The Eagles have to be way out in front, which they were, and then they could cruise in. But the whole town of Philly, the whole region down there, they're always just waiting for the thing. So when we had Lawrence Taylor and them guys, when we knew we was going down there, it didn't even matter. Philly could have the greatest team, but we knew all we had to do was show up. We was going to knock them down. When it comes to Dallas, they're America's team, and they get all of the fluff and this, that, and the other. Well, we're never the Cowboys, so I have nothing good to say about the Cowboys. We'll never have anything to say about the Cowboys. It's all doom and gloom. They're all messed up and messed around. It's time to wipe the whole team off as far as I'm concerned. Make them the bad boys, the Cowboys, the Owlboys, whatever you want to call them, and just get them off of the whole NFL playoff season at all the way around. Just get rid of them. Now, but being fair to them, of course they got a great team, and they just need a couple things to fall into place for them, and they're of course going to do fine. They always do.
All right, Dunn. Well, I know you're a New York fan, so it seems like the Giants are in trouble. They need to try to walk real quickly away from Eli Manning, because Eli Manning is getting ready to fall off that cliff. Okay.
Well, I'll just throw this in right quick about Eli Manning. Let me just say this about Eli Manning. Eli Manning won us 2 magnificent Super Bowls, and we here in New York want to see him with everybody at full strength one more time. So you got to wait another season. We want Eli Manning back on the field with everybody full at strength, and then we want to go down there and beat Philly and Dallas for that matter, and then we'll move on.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to see what Goddess Kelli has to say, because you know she's a biggest Eagles fan. So I don't know, Goddess Kelli, are those Eagles going to fly like the Eagles can fly?
I am so surprised at you, First Lady. The fact that you are spitting out alternative facts about my man, darling Nicky Foles. Not a good quarterback. Did you forget that in 2013 we are talking about a quarterback that threw 27 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions to take the Eagles to the playoffs after they lost Michael Vick? You talk about what he's done this season. You mentioned the last 2 weeks. You forget to mention the game the week previous where he threw 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Yeah, he had a bit of a bad game against Oakland. Yeah, he had 1 bad quarter against the Cowboys. But you know what? If you look back at that film of that Cowboys game, he was throwing brilliantly. He had completions to Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar. Where he failed was when he threw the ball at Torrey Smith. It was Torrey Smith dropped 2 passes completely in a row. 2 passes in a row. And that shocked the confidence of Nick Foles. And then he was taken out before he could get his confidence back, so they could put the little kid named Sudfeld in there. So, I mean, you can't say that Nick Foles is a bad quarterback based on those performances when, you know what, back in 2013, he threw 7 touchdowns in 1 game. You know who else has done that? Peyton Manning. You know who else has done that? Nobody. That's it. Just those 2. That's why they're in the Hall of Fame. Their jerseys are hanging up next to each other. The only 2 quarterbacks to throw 7 touchdowns in 1 game. So, yes, if you look at that game against the Cowboys, I would say the Cowboys are in bigger trouble than we are going into next year, and here is why. Our defense had 7 starters that did not even suit up. We had 7 of our top defensive players that were inactive in that game. The Cowboys played their entire offense, their entire first-string offense. We had third-string guys out there on defense. You know what? We held them to 6 points. So if anybody's got a problem and needs to worry about their future in the NFL, it is Dak and Zeke, because those guys have proven that when they play an actual good team, they can't get it done, because that's who they played. They played a good team with third-string defense and couldn't score more than 6 points. The big problem with the Cowboys is they do need to get rid of Des Bryant. He has become washed up. He had more drops than Torrey Smith, and yeah, he's done. So I have no doubt that going into the playoffs, the Eagles have got all the chances in the world. They are still rallying behind the team, rallying behind the city. They're ready to do it for Carson. As long as that offensive line keeps darling Nikki protected, I know that he's going to get things done. And next season, we are going to be on top of the division again. And I think the Cowboys are going to be in the basement. I think even the Giants might have a better record than the Cowboys next season. And that's all I'm saying.
Oh, you said a lot there, Goddess Kelly. I can tell you at home, are you rooting for that Nick Foles? Yeah, well, it's about what have you done for me lately, and he hasn't done nothing for me lately. So anyway, CJ out of side, Kyle, what are you talking about this? You agree with Goddess Kelly and the Eagles and Nick Foles? You have faith in him?
Yes, I do. I do have faith in him. However, it seems like everyone seems to forget what this whole season was about and why we were actually playing this season, why the Eagles were able to rally around and get something done. That's all that I have to say. The Cowboys, yeah, they could have made a big statement this season, and I'm disappointed that they didn't. And because of that, they won't be America's team to be again, because they had a chance to prove a point, to make a statement, to make a difference in this country's vision of the American dream, and no one really wants to talk about it. They just want to say, okay, well, we're back to the Super Bowl, and that's fine and dandy. If you want to say that he won't play anymore, it'll be another year. But the reasons of some people not having a team, as they say, that's just been washed all the way away. And the Cowboys had a lot to do with that, I think. I think they could have had a bigger voice in it. And maybe not to bring it up, but I hope they don't have a better season next year, because they were kind of a little punk this season with their closed mouths. Closed mouths shouldn't get fed. I hope that they stay in the bottoms. Their little shining silver stars are going to be tarnished forever. And if anybody can win, be it the Bears, the Eagles, the Bills, anybody.
Okay, CJ. Spit face. I mean, I know you're not an Eagles fan, and Nick Foles is at that.
Well, you know, I may not be an Eagles fan, but that's because I root for the Bears, and I will never root for the Dallas Cowboys. And let's stop this nonsense about them being America's team. I ain't heard. The only people who talk about them as American teams are the prognosticators who still just happen to mention it. Because how can they be America's team when the Patriots got when they done won all the darn Super Bowls? America's team is not a losing team. You know, when Michael Jordan and his boys went over to the Olympics, they were America's team, and what did they do? Win. You cannot be America's nothing if you ain't winning. And they have not been winning in a long time, except enough to keep the rabid Dallas fans, you know, chomping at the bit. And, cause Jerry Jones is a marketing genius. Because he done put out a product for a long time that been mediocre with mediocre coaches and still get people to come to the games. Now, but back to the thing at hand, you know. And, you know, Dunn got a nice shirt on. I like that shirt he got. Man, it's that silk. You know, it's really nice. Oh, but I will say that, man, it's going to be tough for the Eagles. It's going to be tough for the Eagles. And the thing that they got in their favor is that more than likely, coming out of the wild card weekend, they're going to have a warm weather team or a dome team that's going to have to come up to cold Philly. Cause it ain't gonna warm up by, it ain't gonna warm up by the next weekend. Not too much. As a matter of fact, it might go down. So they're gonna have to go up to cold Philly and play. And the thing that's in Philadelphia's favor is they got a defense. They got a defense. And if it's cold, you got a defense. If you can run the ball and manage the game, you can win. You can win. Now, I do suspect that the Dallas Cowboys do have more issues than the fact that Zeke got suspended. Because if you're trying to, well, Zeke got hurt, so that did their season. What about the other players on the team? Every team got injuries. Every team have a superstar go down and have to wait. It happened. So you couldn't manage to, cobble together enough wins without Zeke there. And then he came back and they just, bam, man, we don't care about you. Keep your hands off of women's titties without permission. And, maybe get your head together, stop all the, what I really loved was when, I forget which team they played when my man dived into the kettle. Yeah, we gonna show you, Zeke. Yeah, feed me. And they need to hurry up and kick theirs out the nest. But I am warning, and I'm like, First Lady, you know what my biggest fear is that, because I have a rule, and that rule is whenever the Dallas Cowboy let a receiver go, he over. He over whenever they do. And foolish teams go, wow, he was good on Dallas. We need to go ahead and overpay and get him. Please, Chicago Bears, do not get. Don't do it. Let somebody else, because they know he gonna be overpaid, and talk about over a cliff. That boy gone. That boy, yeah, you get him some skis. Get it, because he's sloping.
All right, all right, Goddess Kelly, over to you. But before you go over to you, I just want to let you know Nick Foles did lose that playoff game.
Yeah, I know. It was to the Saints. It was 3 years ago, and my dog and I ripped our jerseys off and shed tears together, okay?
Fly like an eagle.
Well, anyway, you know what? Don't call it a comeback, because I've been here for years, just like Nick Foles, rocking my peers and putting suckers in fears. Making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion overpowering over the competition. I'm towering. Wrecking shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare. You better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest. That'll all get you sliced and diced. Competition paying the price. I'm gonna knock you out. Oh, Mama said knock you out. Oh, we are not talking about Amy Schumer and Tracy Ullman or Wanda Sykes. We are talking about the knockout punch the Cincinnati Bengals put on the Ravens' playoff hopes, letting the Buffalo Bills get the final spot. Did Marvin Lewis's team make a statement? Who's your daddy? Marvin got a 2-year extension on his contract after the win. Did the win save his job? Should this win have saved his job? Is it time to start questioning whether Coach Harbaugh should be next on the hot seat? It's been a long time since the last Super Bowl win. By the way, it is starting to look like the Ravens quarterback can only perform when it's a contract year. Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, and Mary Tyler Moore are asking, what you saying? And you know what? I have a real problem when coaches get fired after, one bad season, that sort of thing, and, they're not given a chance to actually turn the team around. Marvin Lewis has had some success up until this season with the Cincinnati Bengals, and I do think that he has a plan to turn that team around. So I am glad that he got the 2-year extension. I think that he deserves it. I think that a lot of teams are too quick to fire the coaches. With that being said, Coach Harbaugh has been with the Ravens for a very long time, and I think he's at the point where he's past his prime. He's gotten his glory with that team, but it's time for them to say goodbye to both Harbaugh and to Joe Flacco, because Joe Flacco is another one past his prime. And that's a problem when a coach is with a team for so long. Sometimes they can develop that sentimentality towards their players. And I think that that's what we're seeing there with Joe Flacco. So I think it's time for that team to start rebuilding, because it has been a very long time since they've won a Super Bowl. They were knocked out of the playoffs, and the Buffalo Bills went on. The Buffalo Bills weren't even on anybody's radar to make it to the playoffs whatsoever. But, hey, that's what football is, any given Sunday. But, First Lady, what do you think about this?
Well, first of all, I can't believe you said that you believe that Marvin Lewis deserves another chance with the Bengals. I mean, he's been with the team for 15 years. I mean,
but he's been rebuilding lately. If you take away this season and look at the last two seasons, the Bengals have been steadily getting better, and then this season was just a weird anomaly.
Okay, wait a minute now. But the thing is, first of all, even if he had lost the last game, he still would have been the head coach. Because I am truly convinced that Marvin Lewis has some damaging blackmail information on the Cincinnati Bengals owner, Mike Brown. Because he has to have something, the reason why they keep re-signing him to contracts. He has not won one playoff game in the years that he's been the head coach. How do you extend somebody that has not won one playoff game? Obviously, he gets them to the playoff, but he just cannot get them over the hump. I mean, let's look at the situation. The Rams had the same love affair with Jeff Fisher, if you remember, too. They kept him on for a long time. And finally, they got smart, and they cut their ties with Jeff Fisher, and look what McVay has done. Yeah, look where the Rams are now. So, to me, the Cincinnati Bengals, they need to take the same approach with Marvin Lewis because I don't know. I don't know. I'm just convinced this man has some powerful intel, and he's just – I don't know why he's still there. I just don't understand. And I don't even think all the NFL pundits understand why he's still there. But anyway, moving along to John Harbaugh. I mean, he's another one that's following another coach's path. Lovie Smith. Remember Lovie Smith? Lovie Smith went to the Super Bowl. After he went to the Super Bowl, everything went downhill. Same thing with John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh has not been to the playoffs since 5 years ago. His team has been to the playoff once in 5 years. They have not made it to the playoffs the last 3 years. His seat is definitely on fire, but I'm going to say, you're talking about giving a coach one more year. I'm going to give him one more year because Flacco is injured at the beginning of the season, so we'll see what they can do. But if his team does not make it to the playoff next year, they need to get rid of John Harbaugh. I don't care of the fact that he got them to a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's what have you done for me lately, and he hasn't done a darn thing lately. And Joe Flacco, yeah, I had never believed Joe Flacco was a franchise quarterback. Never, ever believed. The reason why the Ravens won the Super Bowl the year they did was because of their defense, not because of the offense. And they need to find a replacement for Joe Flacco very soon. And he signed that extension, so they're going to be owing him a lot of money, and he's getting old, very, very old, real fast. So, yeah, I think both these teams, I just don't understand what's going on. But the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, it's ridiculous that Marvin Lewis is still there. I mean, this ineptitude.
No respect. What about you? Let's go to our guest next, Dunn. What do you think about this situation?
Well, I guess I'm going to always have the opinion of being a great fan and being from a different perspective. I was born and raised in Cleveland. So both of these teams are very close to my heart for two different reasons. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals, from a historical perspective, that was our sit in that cold stadium on the lakefront and see the Cincinnati Bengals come in every year. And I used to sit out there in that dog pond and watch the Cincinnati Bengals. And mediocre will always be mediocre, always will, always will. So I'm not surprised that Marvin Lewis is still there. They just mired in mediocrity down there in Cincinnati. It's always going to be Cincinnati. Like you said, I'm going to knock you out. Well, every time they would come to our town, that's what our attitude. We're going to just simply knock you out. And we'd go back and forth. So the culture there of Cincinnati is always, it's the only reason why Marvin Lewis is still there because the whole city of Cincinnati just used to being mediocre. So the team is just where they are. They do have a good year one year. They ain't win no playoff games. They ain't probably never going to win no playoff games. So what difference does it matter? It doesn't even matter what they do. They're just on the schedule, unfortunately, like my Cleveland Browns. They're just a team on the schedule, just someplace to go. The Baltimore Ravens, I got a little different perspective about them, is because my family, we actually bought a car from Art Modell, his used car, when he was in Cleveland. So I got a different perspective on the Baltimore Ravens. The culture of the Ravens is just like the Dagburn car. He pitch-patched it, yeah. He went and, of course, Art Modell sold us his used car because he went and got a new one. That was always his approach, but I can tell by the upkeep of the car we bought from him says what I think about the team and the culture there in Ravens. Yeah, they jumped out, they won a Super Bowl, they got all of the great guys and this, that, and the other, but they did no repair work. They did nothing to prepare for where they're heading. So I'm not surprised to see any of that. The coach needs to get out of the way and all of that. That team is going to fall apart just like the culture from the ownership on down. But to give them some credit, of course, he organized a great team, and he moved the Ravens to Baltimore on us Cleveland Brown. It broke our hearts. That should have been our team. We should have won the Super Bowl, so I'm going to have a different tone on it. However, the culture of the movement of it goes back to about his car. I keep talking about it. It was brand new. So the culture of the team operates fantastic when it's brand new. So what they haven't done is that they haven't influxed the same concept. They operate better when it's brand new. You got to continue to upgrade, continue to move, continue to grab new things, continue to make it new. They operate better when it's new. So every decision that should be made there in Baltimore should be geared towards new because they do nothing for the upkeep. That's my whole point. So everything that comes from that, we shall see. It's an open book. But congratulations to the Ravens. They have somewhat continued to be successful on a consistent basis. But like I said, just like that car ran for a couple of months, and we had to put it over in the junkyard, just along with all of the rest of the junk. That's how I feel about it.
I have to say, the guests started to lose me in the beginning when, Don, you said that you were a New York fan. But I lived 15 years in Cleveland, and now I'm having, flashbacks to my days back in the sports bar listening to you talk about, the rivalry with Cleveland and the Bengals and then all of the hate and animosity towards Art Modell and the Ravens. So, all right, we're cool again now. We're cool. So, CJ, let's hear what you have to say about this.
Well, Coach Harbaugh, I just wish he'd ride off into the sunset and go where all good little quarterbacks go when they don't win Super Bowls for Chicago. So if he could just go off and do his own thing, we'll be happy. As far as the Bengals go, they've always been a contender for the Bears. We could always have a good party. That's the only thing that they're pretty good for. The Bengals and the Bears are for partying. They don't win too many football games, but they give you a good show to have fun about and talk about the next day. So for that, I say we'll tune in next year. They'll be there to provide those antics and fun, and everybody will be happy.
All right. Spitface, what's your opinion on the tale of two coaches?
I'm looking at the situation, and, one, Harbaugh got to go. Harbaugh got to go. Flacco got to go, too. There's only so long that you, as the voice lady said, the Lovie Smith syndrome. You made it, you got one, and the one you got, your brother should have won. See, the wrong Harbaugh won that Super Bowl. The other one should have won, because the other one was actually a better coach. Right. So Harbaugh needs to go, Flacco needs to go, and I think Dunn hit on the key. They need to do some new stuff, which is called get a whole. It's rebuild time. I ain't talking about rehab time, because that's what they do in Cincinnati. I'm talking about they need to do rebuild and get a whole new. It's time. They need to get rid of the general manager. They need to get rid of the coach. They need fresh blood and build anew. Because the days of glory, they can just go ahead and polish up Ray Ray's statue, because that's all they gonna see if they keep that combination together. Now, Cincinnati First Lady, I'm a little bit torn with Cincinnati. Because, you know, being in the minority, you know, growing up as a African American, you know, I was an Afro American at one point, you know, and you know what, actually, I was, you know, if I look at my birth certificate, I was a Negro. So I go back to when, you know, when we were back to Negro. And, and these Negroes in Cincinnati need to grow. And they need to grow in many, many ways. But I'm torn because anytime a black man can get over it, and Marvin Lewis, my brother, you been getting over like a fat rat, you know. I'm like, you know, but I really think that Marvin would be better suited in the Trump administration. He would be. He'd get Donald Trump re-elected. Because whatever voodoo hoodoo my man got, it's working. It's working. That's all I'm saying, Goddess. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, after that complete derailment, CJ, take us to break while we get this train back on the tracks.
The first two listeners to email us or send a shout-out why the ladies are grouped together will receive a $25 gift card from our partners at NFLShot.com and Victoria's Secret. Here's the hint. Giggle. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we have a performance from Ish Illa on the first part of Shout-Out.
Mr. Vaughn ain't got freed yet.
The music flows in and around the globe from a shout-out from the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from Ish Illa.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If we like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout out. If we don't like it, we hit the mute. Yes, today we do have music from Ishella and DJ. Let's hear Life After Pain.
I feel ya when you say many it broke your heart and it kills ya. Played on your innocence, tore it apart, and now you're so done. Instead of love, bitterness took your heart, and you're so young. Heaven's life has a picture-perfect plan, it's painted for your life. Though it didn't work out the way you like, but it's alright. Though there's darkness, God's bright light still shines in the morning time. But morning's Eve, open the door, don't close it no more. Love hurts, but it's worth it. You broke all your rules just to make one more move, and it ended up hurting. Now you feel that life is over. Say it ain't done now. Don't be afraid, just stay in the game. There's still life after pain. Whoa, whoa, life after pain. Still life after pain.
Don't stop, your life's a Picasso. Better days are coming and it's coming and it's coming. Don't stop, your life's a Picasso. Better days are coming and it's coming and it's coming.
Mistakes made, that's part of life's big journey, but give in the pain. Though the hard times come, don't let it up, steal your plans. There's so much promise in your future, choose to love again, live again. Love again, live again. I ran around that beat like a marathon, and everybody looking at me like he won't die. I got that next seat like the Senate, Just because my life was dark, I ain't finished now. I'll be back with no plan, like the playoffs on my game. So much scars, so much pain, but I made it anyway. Now my picture got a frame, cause I didn't stay where I lay. I've been broke down with a bow down, hope down, but I back up with my straight life. Without a chain, I got Jesus' peace. Without his love, I couldn't even breathe. If you see something, lick it, leap in. That's me peeking to successful seasons. Somehow I knew that I would find my way. Hey, the bad gon' come, but the good is round the way. So if they tell you it's gon' be okay, it really, really will be okay. So it's alright. It's okay. It's alright. It's okay. Before you know, this time will blow and another day will come and show and shine. Whoa, shine. Open the door, don't close it no more. Love hurts, but it's worth it. You broke all your rules just to make one more move, and it ended up hurting. Broke all your rules. Now, say don't you give up, 'cause you're hurting in life after pain. Open the door, don't close it no more. Love hurts, but it's worth it. You broke all your rules just to make one more move, and it ended up hurting. And feel that life is over. Say it and done now. Don't be afraid, just stay in the game. There's still life after that. Open the door, don't close it no more. Love hurts, but it's worth it. You broke all your rules just to make one more move, and it ended up hurting. And feel that life is over. Say it and done now. Don't be afraid, just stay in the game. It's still life after game.
That was Ish-illa, Life After Pain. All right, we're going to go to our panel to see if this track is going to get a shout-out or are we going to hit the mute button. Well, you know what? I normally start off with Goddess Kelli, but I'm going to start off with our guest, Dunn. Dunn, you're really the one person here that's qualified to really give your opinion about music. So what do you think about this song? Are you going to give it the shout-out or are you going to hit the mute button?
I'm going to give that song a big-time shout-out. Life after pain. Oh, you got so much more to gain in life after pain. So if I can remember that coming right off of the song, that means I give it a big-time shout-out. That gentleman there, he was in pitch, he was in tone. For your listeners that don't know, I'm a long-time member of the OJs, and so I haven't heard every kind of singer on the planet here, from Aretha Franklin, you name them. This song certainly fits right in. It reminds me of someone I just found out is a relative of mine, and that's Mr. Babyface. And this song there certainly has that tone and tenures and arrangements of what I do and what Babyface does. It's a great combination. He gets a big, big shout-out. It's a promising future, and the thing I like about it is that he's talking about some real issues, life after pain. I'm all in. That's my thing.
Okay, all right. Goddess Kelli, what do you think?
All right, well, I agree with the fact that Ish-illa does have an excellent voice. I thought that his voice was very good. The song itself, though, I thought that the name was extremely fitting because I found that song so painful, I wanted to kill myself. I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to go on with my life while I was listening to that. I found it so incredibly just boring. Like, there was nothing in it to keep me hooked into it. I was sitting here staring at the clock like, oh my God, is this over yet? I was gonna say that it's not my genre, but it seemed to have such an identity crisis that I don't even know what that genre was. Like, it started out with like some gospel sounds, and then there was like a little bit of rap overlay in there, and then it was like kind of soulful, and I was like, what is this song trying to be? I don't know. I'm not giving up on Ish-illa yet because I did enjoy his voice. So I'm going to wait and see what the next track is like, but that song, mute it.
That's the reason why I let Dunn go before Goddess Kelli, because I didn't want to poison his mind. But anyway, CJ, what did you think of the song? You giving it a shout out or hitting the mute button?
Well, I'm kind of on the fence here. Goddess. He has a great voice, you're right. The song, I mean, for people over 40, yes, that's about their speed. They like that kind of rap. They can almost listen to it. See, he got the words to it even. That means it was a good song. Just because you can hear the words doesn't mean it's a good song all the time, Mr. Dunn. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Spit-face. I'm sorry, you finished, CJ?
I'm just trying to say, just because you can hear the words doesn't mean it's a good song all the time. And
you have to repeat that. We heard you the first time. All right, Spitface, over to you. Please bring some sensibility into this equation here.
Wait, you know, coming from a hit place.
I said over 40. I think everybody here is over 40, but anyway.
I am not over 40. Thank you very much.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. But I'm going to say, I liked the track. I'm giving it a shout out. I thought the combination was smooth and groovy. I thought my man had, you know, and then he from the South Side. You know, so I gotta go for my brother. He from the South Side. You know, but I liked the track. I thought It's Illa was jamming there. So, you know, I don't know. Sometimes these youngsters need to go to music appreciation school. That's all I got to say.
I tell you, I agree. I love the track. I love It's Illa. The song was on point, and I love the way he really hummed in that Stevie Wonder at the end. That was fantastic. So I'm shouting that out. I don't know what the other two young ladies were listening to, but anyway, I definitely think it's a good track. But anyway, let's move on. Is that the sound of my favorite underwater friend? Oh, excuse me, I forgot to say, It's Illa will be on the second part of Shout Out. See, I just had to move on because I just didn't like the... Anyway, let's move on. Is that my friend? Is it time for Flip It?
All right, it's time for even Flipper likes the track. Even Flipper likes the track. So I don't know what was up with CJ and Goddess Kelly. I think CJ didn't have enough ribs this morning, and Goddess Kelly just chilling up there, frozen up there instead of in Pennsylvania, man. It's time for Flip It, where our hosts defend a point and then flip the script and defend the opposing view. Since we got a guest, let me just kind of break it down here. Okay, Brother Dunn, what happens is you gonna be the defense and then gonna be the prosecution for the same deal. Okay? So now there is a little controversy going on with the New England Patriots around Tom Terrific, Obi-Wan Belichick, and the owner. And questions about letting Jimmy G go surrounds the team. Should the Patriots have let Jimmy G go or kept him for Brady's eventual retirement? Defend. Tom Terrific will play another 4 years. Letting Jimmy G go was good for everyone. Goddess Kelly, defend.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that I've got zero love for Tom the Cheater Brady. But that being said, I predicted that after his 40th birthday, he was going to start to go downhill. And you know what? He's playing there's MVP talks about him again. So I'm not wrong often, but when I am, I can admit it. Tom Brady has played an amazing season and shows zero signs of slowing down. So getting rid of Jimmy G, because Jimmy G felt like a threat to Tom Brady. Tom Brady saw this young stud come in who was able to take over the reins last season when he was suspended, keep the team winning, do some fun stuff, and Tom Brady felt threatened. Tom Brady doesn't like to feel threatened. So he went, got Jimmy G, gotten out of there, and that was the best thing. Now they can have a mediocre, terrible backup quarterback so Tom feels nice and secure and I think he will go on playing for another 4 years. I don't know what is with that diet that he is eating. I know it's something weird that he eats, but it's definitely working, so I might have to look into some of that.
The Tom Terrific diet. And CJ defend Tom Terrific will play another 4 years. Letting Jimmy G go was just good for everyone.
Hey, it was like taking the Band-Aid off the scar and saying, run, grasshopper, run, run, you can do it. Show them that senior citizens are not just out the pasture. You can put in another 48 months and look good while doing it, too. We have faith in Tom Terrific. He's going to give another 4 years. It's going to be a bam, bam. They're going to say, where did he get all this wisdom from? And he's going to look there with his little eyes twinkling in a smile and say, I told you 4 years ago this was going to happen. I'm terrific.
Tom Terrific and the Brady Bunch. All right. Okay, CJ. Brother Dunn. Defend Tom Terrific will play another 4 years. Letting Jimmy G go was good for everyone.
Well, let me say this. My book title is called Masculine Vulnerabilities, and this is a classic case of a man being vulnerable here. Tom Terrific, over these next 4 years, is going to go from Tom Terrific to Tom Horrific. So that will play itself out over the next 4 years. It was a terrible decision to let Jimmy G go. Keep him around. Look for the future. The obvious is there up there in New England. The formula has been laid out. You want to continue to win. The object is to win, win, win. They've been winning with Tom Terrific, and so you got to set it up for Tom Horrific. That's going to come. Father Time always does that. It's a terrible move. Get Jimmy G, get him started, get ready to roll, and get past all of the vulnerabilities of getting old and all of that good stuff. That's all it is. Tom Terrific's got to go.
All right. Okay. First Lady defend Tom Terrific will play another 4 years. Letting Jimmy G go was just good for everyone.
Tom Terrific, so far, he has defied old age and found the fountain of youth. At 40 years old, he is the top candidate to win the MVP this year in the NFL. Based on his track record, he definitely can play 4 more years. He hasn't been seriously injured since 2008 when he had his torn ACL. So he's been able to manage his, common injuries, and he's been able to stay healthy majority of his 17-year career. So Tom is really doing well. And his friend and trainer, Alice Guerrero, he has provided Tom with a serious regimen and that diet. They have branded the TB12 manual. That's what it is, Goddess Kelly. You need to get that TB12 manual for $200, and that's how you'll be able to stay fit like Tom Terrific. His lifestyle works for him. I'm not saying it works for other people, though. That's what the problem is they're talking about in New England. They're talking about Tom Terrific's trainer. They think he's a quack. But anyway, Tom doesn't think he's a quack, and he is succeeding at MVP level for a 40-year quarterback. That's why Jimmy G became dispensable. It didn't make sense to keep him for 4 more years at $25 million a year. Oh, no, absolutely not. Jimmy G deserves a chance to become a starter. And you know what? The Patriots, they can find another quarterback and let Tom mentor him, in the next 4 years. So Jimmy G is good for... he's good for a small sample. He has a good small sample of success. We don't know what his lifetime will be. We know Tom Brady has a lifetime of success, and he still has it in his 40s.
All right. Tom Terrific's secret is being married to fine ass Giselle. I'd go play some football, too, if I had her to come home to every night. Hey, Dunn, I don't see no vulnerability in that game.
Well, I realized that I wasn't right on the script here of the game. I was supposed to defend Tom Terrific. I'm talking about Tom Horrific. But let me just say with you, Giselle makes him Tom Terrific for the next 40 years. If I got to defend Tom Terrific, yeah, he's having a terrific time.
You know, I'd rather have Giselle than Melania.
You got that right.
All right. But you know, this is flipped it, where we flip the script and defend the opposing view. Tom ain't no spring chicken. And Jimmy G is proving they should have kept him. Goddess Kelli, defend.
All right. Well, you know what? He did have a fantastic season this season, but once you hit over 40 in the NFL, it is so physically demanding. I don't care what you're eating, what your trainer is doing. You are not going to be able to keep going at this level. With Jimmy G, the fact that he has gone over to San Francisco and has completely turned that team around, going 5-0 as a starter, Jimmy G could have been the next long-term solution for the New England Patriots, but instead, Robert Kraft let a little bit of nostalgia get in the way and did not allow Bill Belichick to say he wanted to move on from Tom Brady. So now Belichick might be out of there. Jimmy G is out of there, and they are stuck with a has-been. Let me remind you all of the cautionary tale of a quarterback named Brett Favre, who had a similar situation where he saw a young Aaron Rodgers come into the league, and he started to get threatened. But in this case, he didn't have that same kind of blackmail over his owner, so it was Brett Favre that went somewhere else. He became a shadow of himself, and last thing we knew, he was sending pictures of his private parts to sideline reporters. That is what's going to happen to Tom. His wife's going to be all like, Tom, why are you still playing football? You should be home with me. And he's going to be all like, no, well, I'm a manly man, Giselle. I need to keep playing football because it's the only thing I'm good at because I cheat at it so much. And then she's going to leave him, and he's going to start sending pictures of his little Tom Turkey Terrific Peeny Weenie all over town, and he's going to get fired, and he's going to become hated. So they should have kept Jimmy G. Jimmy G prevents dick pics.
They should have kept Jimmy G to protect the legend of Tom Terrific. CJ, defend.
I don't know what it is, Goddess, but you're right. He is there. He's all alone now. He's no spring chicken. They're going to find him out. And when she finds out that little blue pill or little green pill is not working anymore, she's going to be toast. And then we'll have a new sitcom reality show on our hands. And won't that be a good one? Where do all the football players go after they get washed up as quarterbacks? HBO, Showtime, Netflix. I'd watch. Especially with their lovely little wives attached. It would be a beautiful thing. Yes, and he would be the star. A way to exit kind of gracefully. Can't you see it now? The first ending, first season. Here's Jimmy G saying, see you later. Have a good life. And then he's coming into the boardroom, a little cloud coming over, and we've got a new show for you. We're going to call it Tom Terrific. 4 years later.
All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. That's the best I can do for him.
All right, they trying to line up the reality show contract for Tom Terrific. Hey, Doug, you get to defend again. Tom ain't no spring chicken. And Jimmy G is proven they should have kept him and let him get a reality TV show.
Well, I'm still trying to decipher what CJ meant by that comment. But let me move on. Okay, Tom ain't no spring chicken. I just said Tom Terrific is going to be Tom Horrific. And Jimmy G, of course, should be Jimmy B, because they should have known that Jimmy B was going to be the one to be their next quarterback. So they obviously should have kept him. There's no question about it. And I feel a little bad that I didn't defend letting go Jimmy G And that is, of course, the obvious, though I was trying to make a cynical joke about my book, Masking Vulnerabilities. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, Jimmy G should be right there in line. The goal here is to win. And the New England Patriots have been winning. And this should have been they should have continued on with Jimmy G to keep the winning tradition going along. However, once again, being here in New York, of course, I want Tom to be that spring chicken. He ain't no spring chicken, but keep him around because that seems to be the only team that we can beat in the Super Bowls. I want him to.
And y'all can beat them consistently.
Yeah, exactly. So we want him still there.
Don't feel bad because guests usually, on Flip It, they might have a little, on that first Flip It, get, kind of getting the point of it. And Dunn, one thing, me and you both got something in common. And the thing that we both got in common, other than we, like really good looking brothers, is that, but I can't sing. You can. Okay. Is we both had our girlfriend stolen by a blind man. We both, and, but, the thing that I say about that, is that, but in your case, it took Stevie Wonder to steal your girlfriend. My man just had a disability check. My man just had a disability check and stole my girlfriend. So, hey, it ain't no comparison, but it took Stevie Wonder to steal your girlfriend. I just had a guy with a disability check, and that was back when they had food stamps.
Well, I've had many years now to practice this line and to say, and you know what? I didn't even see it coming.
Okay, and on that note, because we can see First Lady's fine, so the fin.
Our sports history tells us when athletes stay in the game for too long, people like, as Goddess Kelli mentioned, Brett Favre, Muhammad Ali, Shaquille O'Neal, even the great Michael Jordan, all great athletes are eventually reduced to a shell of themselves at the end. And Father Time will catch up with you. And when it does, it is not pretty. So definitely Tom Terrific's skills will deteriorate. And the Patriots have been so successful because, you know what? They've always had backup plans. They've always been ahead of other teams. But they traded their successor to Brady, Jimmy G, who was groomed to replace Tom Terrific. That's what Bill Belichick did. He groomed this quarterback to replace Tom Terrific, and he was knocked down by the owner because the owner sided with Tom Terrific. And that's why they had to trade Jimmy G. And you know what? Imagine if Jimmy G could lead the hapless 49ers to 5 straight wins, what he could have done for the Patriots. I mean, Tom Terrific is just being too damn selfish, and he's going to cause the Patriots to have years of hard times because he didn't want to call it quits.
All right. We got the First Lady had the final word. Now I'm gonna sneak in one other thing, and that is Bill Belichick will be on the Patriots unless he goes to the Giants of Dallas. Long after Tom Brady retires, and because Belichick wants to prove that it's his coaching, not the quarterback. CJ, please take us to break.
I think we have something interesting for the panel.
No, we don't, because it's time to take us to break.
It is. Oh, soon. Up next, the funnies and our favorite underwater friend on Flip It Part 2.
Welcome back. You are still listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It is time for the funnies. So, CJ, over to you.
I think we have something interesting for our panel and our listeners. Neighbors petitioned to change rude street name. In an English town are petitioning their local council to change the rude name of their road because it's a euphemism for a penis. Residents of Sandwell, England, started a petition on change.org seeking to change the name of Bell End Road, which they said is an object of ridicule due to its name being a popular term for male genitalia. The term Bell End can be seen and used as a rude and often offensive word, the petition states. As well as this, it can affect people and children, including children being bullied and teased at school and generally now become a laughingstock as seen very recently on Facebook and other social media sites, and it's time for a change. We want the local Sand Hill Council to acknowledge our name change request to a new road name and the very least to a similar name, Bell Inn to Bell's Road. Even this would be sufficient. Local councilor Chris Tranter said he does not see anything wrong with the street name. I was born here and I lived here for 40 years and it doesn't bother me. You get the odd giggle on the phone and it's quite amusing really, he told the Telegraph. Fellow councilor Barbara Price was more sympathetic to the cause. If some people find the name offensive and children are being teased about where they live, then there's obviously an issue, she said. I will be consulting with residents and speaking to the cabinet member in question to see if anything can be done.
CJ, I'm looking at this story and I'm going, you dirty-minded folks. You dirty-minded folks. I mean, y'all definitely got your minds in the proverbial gutter. And then, or either that, or it's just some horny folks over in Britain.
Well, there are horny folks in Britain.
Their slang seems much more fun than ours.
Whoa. Okay.
No ends, no bells. Y'all don't want any balls? Anywho, I think I hear some splashing. Do you hear splashing? Is that my favorite underwater friend? Is it time for Flip It?
Yes, CJ, it is time for Flip It. So, the Raiders are about to pay John Gruden $10 million a year to lead the booth and be their head coach. Panel defend. The Raiders got the man they wanted to take them to the Super Bowl. Great move. CJ, defend.
Well, they got him. Good riddance. I'm glad they do. Go team.
Go team. They got what they wanted. All right. Done. Defend. The Raiders got their man. What they wanted them.
Well, John Gruden's been in the booth. He's had a lot of experience now, that arm quarterbacking, as I call it, sitting in the stands, being a coach. You see every move. He's been loud. He's been vocal. He's been talking it up. He's made some excellent points. He's been watching a myriad of games where when you're coaching, you only get to see your own team. So I think they got a great move. He's going to bring an extra burst of energy and a lot of knowledge to the great Super Bowl. Great move for the Oakland Raiders.
Bringing his experience. That's what you're talking about. All right, Goddess Kelli, defend. This is a great move for the Oakland Raiders.
Well, you know what? If you have got $100 million over 10 years and you see something you want, something that a lot of teams have found unattainable before, then absolutely you need to go for it. There's been so many people that have tried to get John Gruden to come out of the booth and get back onto the sidelines, and he has continuously said no. So, you know what? Good for the Raiders for finally saying, you know what? Money talks. So, John Gruden, is this amount of money going to talk to you? And obviously it was enough, and it did. So he had a lot of coaching success in the past. Let's not forget he was the youngest NFL head coach to ever win a Super Bowl. And he's still pretty young. He's, not like Tom Brady, not washed up at all. He's got plenty of time to make a lot of moves. So if they saw what they wanted, they could afford it, I like it. Good job, Raiders.
You say they had a lot of money to give to that man. Spitface, $100 million. That's a lot of money. Spitface defend. The Raiders made a great move.
You know what? Now we get to see the Chucky dolls back. Great move.
We get to see the who back? The Chucky dolls?
The Chucky dolls.
Okay. All right. Well, that's funny, Spitface. You got me confused on that one. But anyway, for the past 10 years, like Goddess Kelly said, Jon Gruden definitely has had a cushy job with ESPN. So, like she said, many teams tried to get him to return to coaching, but he passed on it. For Gruden to take this job, trust me, he believed in Derek Carr. He believed in the talent on the talent of the Raiders. And like Goddess Kelly said, most importantly, he believed in those millions of dollars that they are paying him. That's what he really believed in. And the Raiders, they had such a very disappointing season this year, and they were expected to go to the Super Bowl. So coaching matters. We all found out about coaching, how coaching really matters when it comes to the Rams this year. So Jon Gruden coaching pedigree is what the Raiders needed, and he's going to be able to propel them to the top. And they have a great team. They just didn't have anyone to lead them. Leadership can be just as important as talent. And Jon Gruden is a leader of men, and the Raiders will definitely Raiders got their men. Man. So anyway, this is where we flip it. This is where we flip the script and we defend the other point. Jon Gruden has a ring, but it doesn't mean a thing. This is not going to go well for the Raider Nation. Goddess Kelly, defend.
Well, you know what? There is always going to be kind of an asterisk by the name of Jon Gruden when it comes to coaching, because if you think about when he won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, he didn't win it with Jon Gruden's team. He won it with Tony Dungy's team. It was Tony Dungy's team. And then Jon Gruden was gone from coaching before he could destroy that team. And now we're looking at the Raiders. If they go next year and win the Super Bowl, everybody's going to say, hey, well, you know what? That was Jack Del Rio's team. You didn't have anything to do with assembling that talent. And then going on over the next years, we'll see that Jon Gruden doesn't really have the ability to assess talent. He is a great leader, yes. He is a great coach, yes. But when it comes to building a team, we haven't seen him do that successfully yet. So I think it was kind of premature for them to offer 10 years with $10 million a year, $100 million for a guy that's been out of the game for very long. Yes, being in the booth, you get to see a lot, but you're analyzing it all after the fact. You're analyzing it when the plays are already selected. To be a successful head coach, you need to get into the minds of the opposing team and anticipate what they're going to do so you can counteract it. And that's a skill that he is going to have lost being up in that booth.
Yes, $10 million for 10 years for being out of coaching for 10 years. Okay. CJ, defend.
They got him. They got what they wanted. I think that's just as flippant as I'm going to get on both of those little Raider subjects.
The little Raider subject. They got him. They got it, right? Okay. Dunn. Now, I know you got a lot to say about this, so defend.
Okay. Well, there was a tune written back in the old days called If You Ain't Got That Swing, It Ain't Don't Mean a Thing. Well, let me tell you this. Jon Gruden, coupled with the $10 million, is not going to have the swing for the Raider Nation. He's going to be out of touch. He's going to have that $10 million, and that vulnerability of that being that $10 million is going to put him in a position where he's not going to be humbled enough to catch up to the swing of the young boys out there running that Raider Nation. And that disconnect there in communications is what's going to be the downfall of the Raider Nation. Jon Gruden brings, like I said, he brings a lot of experience, so he's going to have that arrogance of his experience, and he's going to try to put his will on them, but he's just not going to have that swing for the new thing.
That swing for the new thing. He's not going to have it, Dunn. All right. Spitface, defend. John Gruden has a ring, but it doesn't mean a thing. This is not going to go well for the Raider Nation.
As it has been previously mentioned, he did not win with his team. He won with Tony Dungy's team after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rudely kicked him to the curb, and he had to go on and build up another franchise. And you know what? This whole situation reminds me of what went on with my favorite president, Barack Hussein Obama, and the president administration. And what it is bring the black man in to clean up the mess. And then, you know, 'cause you done threw your hands up. Oh, it's a mess. I'm just done. Oh, let the black man clean up this whole mess. And then, as he start cleaning it up, and you start going, well, man, he kind of getting it cleaned up. Then you complain about how he cleaned it up. Well, you know, I already threw my hands up. It's a mess, but see, you should move the broom that way. You should do it. Now you done already messed it all up. You know, economy done fell down all on his face. And then when the brother come in trying to, you know, get it a little bit together and everything, you just picking on him every bit which way, but you couldn't do it in the first place. And then as soon as you get it rolling, oh, it's looking good. Things are starting to get shiny and stuff. Oh, kick the brother to the curb. Now we need to bring this other guy in. See, you know, that's now in this case, you know, President Barack Obama could not run a third time, so he had to, you know, leave because of the deal. But they would have tried that. They was trying to kick him out early when they saw that he was starting to get results. And then you see what happened. I'm going to give you a booming economy. I'm going to give you one where you got, you know, now unemployment is down the floor. And now you want to take credit like you done did. So, well, see, since I done came in, you know, things done got all better and stuff. Where were you at, fool? You know, when things work that way. You sitting up there talking about how you going to make money. But I forgot, we talking about football, ain't we? John Gruden, I feel John Gruden and Marvin Lewis, y'all got it going on. 'Cause y'all done put the hoodoo, and got y'all some money again. You know. So I get Chucky that deal. And if, First Lady, if you didn't get the Chucky spin back when he was with the Raiders and they used to bring up the Chucky dolls 'cause he looked like Chucky out of the movies. And the little devil doll. And see, you know what? He do have the hoodoo. But it ain't gonna go well for Raider Nation 'cause he ain't got no Tony Dungy to build it up where he can come in and take it over at the end.
All right, so you say he has the voodoo, but not enough voodoo to bring the Raider Nation back to the Super Bowl. Well, you know, I just think, like you guys said, you know, he went to a team that was already and destined to win the Super Bowl because we know what happened. Tony Dungy was the one that built and mentored that team. You know, John Gruden is an opportunist. That's what he is. He's an opportunist. He's at the right place at the right time. But what happened to John Gruden after he won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay? Well, I'm going to tell you what happened to him. He was not spectacular. He was actually darn right mediocre as a coach. He went to two playoffs in the 6 years after he won the Super Bowl. 2 times in 6 years. And guess what? He lost both times in the wild card game, so he really didn't get that far. He was a one-and-done coach twice in 6 years. So it's really obviously that he is not a great coach. He's an opportunist. He just happens to be at the right time, right place at the right time. And the expectation for him is going to be so high with the Raiders because they're expecting him to make miracles. They're expecting him to be good because people think on the surface he's a great coach. But really he isn't a great coach. He really isn't. And his record actually tells you that. So unfortunately, Raider Nation, you guys are not going to the Super Bowl with John Gruden. You're just going to pay a man $10 million for the next 10 years. Wow. Goddess Kelli, what you got cooking on the jambalaya? You got that jambalaya cooking? Over to you.
Oh, you know, I always got some jambalaya cooking, and this is guaranteed to warm you up on this cold, cold day. So it is a very, very delicious mix for the panel. Here is the quote. Light travels faster than sound. This is why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. So I want to know, panel, how does this quote relate to President Trump and his remarks NFL players were disrespecting veterans and our flag during the regular season? And CJ, I know this is something you were very passionate about, so I want you to go first.
Well, obviously she's not that passionate about it.
All right. First lady, you take it.
Too.
Oh, there she is.
I was just trying not to sneeze.
Oh, sorry.
So, with that being said, I'm trying to see how this is going to culminate. A lot of my fellow football fans have not watched any football. It's been kind of hard on us because of our stance of how we feel about this, you know, and how we would like to see America take aim at looking at the issues of why we kneeled down, of why these issues were brought up during the football season, the American game. And because I was so passionate about it, I felt that I needed to see both sides. And I've tried very hard as an American, as a African-American woman, as a son, as a mother of an African-American son, telling them that America is a great place and that he can become anything he'd like to become, and to have it just become commercialized, desensitized. To me, it was like the feelings were taken, examined, resulted in hypothesis, and left for the media to decide. And my President of the United States has given me nothing to look forward to or to hold on to hope. But thank God, or thank whoever the Almighty might be for whoever that might be, spiritually, personally, whatever it is for whomever. Because I would not like to put a title on anything that's good, as long as it is seen as being good. And maybe some type of way in 2018, the sports of football, the sports of human race will become more of a social issue than just points on a game.
Very well stated. First Lady, what's your opinion on this one?
You know, that Donald really thinks he's bright, but everyone around him is saying something different, you know, especially after the book by Wolf. I mean, what's his name? Who called him the moron, right? Bright, the guy, I forgot his name right now.
Was that Rex Tillerson?
Yes,
I think it was
Well, let's just face it. Everybody around Donald Trump got something to say about his intelligence. And, you know, the thing about Donald, he thinks he is bright. You know, he's always gloating about himself. But the one thing about it, when he talked about the NFL players and he used that derogatory term, he was playing to his base. He knew the base that he was playing to, how they felt about the players in the NFL. So that's why he said what he said. And then another reason, he's just a bitter old man. He's bitter because he wanted to join the Old Boys Network as an owner, and they refused to let his dumb ass in there. So that's the reason why he's been so negative towards the NFL. He's just bitter. That's all it is. He's just a bitter old man. Jeez. And he's not bright.
All right, let's go over to our guest. Dunn, what do you got to say about this one?
Well, it just seems like you keep hitting all these subjects that I have some sort of personal attachment. So to be perfectly honest and open about it, I must admit I did the commercial for Mr. Trump for his failed bid at the USFL. So I have a first-hand...
Wasn't your fault, man. Wasn't your fault.
I know it was not my fault, but let me just say this. So I understand what she just said about him being bitter against he absolutely 1,000%. That's what the basis of what Mr. Trump is doing. But I'm going to go back to what the opening quote is. It says, light travels faster than sound. And what that means is that the truth of the light will always move faster than the sound. For black people in masses understood that the whole purpose of it is to point out the injustice that has a direct connection or shows the craziness of the two sides of the song, the national anthem. It's two axum endum. You have one thing that they're celebrating, but it does not cover the entire thing. That's what the light of the whole thing is. So when Mr. Trump, what I just said, brought his bitterness in against the NFL or whatever, his own things, and went to the disrespecting the veterans and the flag and all that, that had nothing to do with none of that. That has nothing to do with the light. So those of us that choose to look at the bright understands that Mr. Trump is nowhere near bright. His bright light, he has no connection between bright and the light. So that's a general statement, and it's right to the point of where the en masse of black people understood and will continue to understand. Those that like the cuteness of his particular light or his sound, if you will, they enjoy his sound. And I heard one of the other ladies here already say that. Of course, we're not listening to that. If you listen to that, that's just it's already beyond us. Mr. Trump, with connections, if he wanted to shine the light on it, then shine the light on the hypocrisy of the words of the Star-Spangled Banner versus the deeds of many of the injustices in the justice system that has been towards some of its most vulnerable people. And I keep saying the words because that's right. And you're right. I'm promoting my book, so I'm going to keep going back to the words, the vulnerabilities. But that is exactly what it is there with Mr. Trump. The light, he is nowhere near being bright. His sound is unfortunately way down. There we go.
All right. Good face. You go next. I want to go last.
All right, and benefits of moderating your own segment, you can do that kind of stuff. And but there are a couple of things that I want, people to get. And if you tune in to Bluntly Speaking with me and Old School, because in 2018 we educating some folks, so y'all gonna have to get things together. And it's two terms: false narrative and false equivalency. There's a couple of other terms, obfuscation and obfuscate, but we ain't gonna get into a thesaurus discussion here on bras, panties, and sports. But Mr. President Trump, and I can understand not calling him Mr. because you kind of want to have a little reverence for the title presidents, which he obviously lacks himself, but. The false narrative was that the kneeling was against the veterans and the flag. That was a false narrative. That was never the point. And when asked, none of the players ever said it was against the veterans or the flag, because Kaepernick asked a veteran what was the proper way so that he would not be disrespecting. And a veteran, a Navy SEAL, I kind of think a veteran Navy SEAL might know something, said kneeling is the appropriate way to protest. And so they were able to obfuscate that by having it become about the veterans and the flag, when the real deal was about the fact that too many, and one is too many, minority folks being pulled over and shot dead by police, and they unarmed. And that was the focal point. And when you have an opportunist, glad First Lady brought up that word, you have an opportunist who looks at anything to drive a wedge issue. He was trying to educate some folks, to separate peoples. They do that, and that's what happened. And, so NFL players, and I'm with CJ and the rest of the panel that, you look at the situation and you go, it's a shame. It's a crying shame that, we have someone who is never above the gutter in the White House. And I'll put it like this. We have a president who couldn't shine the shoes of President Barack Obama. And that's all I'm going to say.
All right. I'm going to start out by a little shameless self-promoting. Since our guest got to do it, I get to do it too. But if you want to check out my full remarks on this subject, check out my 2-piece article. I start with one. It's called Colin Kaepernick, Prejudice, Privilege, and Patriotism. And then the second one is... Thank you very much. And the second one is Star-Spangled Saga, Anthem, Debate, Discrimination, and Democracy. Both of those are available on goingfor2.com. But I'm going to just boil it down to this. My biggest problem with the fact that President Donald Trump came out and made these remarks is the fact that he is infringing on the rights of the American people. Let's forget for a second that these players came out and they said they were not disrespecting the veterans, they were not disrespecting the flag or the nation. They were out there protesting injustice. The injustice that if you are a black man in this country, you are 4 times more likely to be shot while unarmed than a white man. 4 times more likely. That doesn't sound like land of the free, home of the brave to me. But the biggest issue with this is the fact that President Trump is trying to take away these players' First Amendment rights. It is the job of the President of the United States of America to defend our Constitution. And our Constitution starts with the very First Amendment. It was the most sacred thing to the founders of our country that Americans have the right to see injustice, speak out against it, and to protest against it in a way that they see fit. These players weren't hurting anyone. These players weren't infringing on anyone else's right. If you felt a certain kind of way about what they were doing, maybe you need to, take a little moment of self-reflection and decide why you felt a certain way. Maybe you have some latent racist tendencies inside you. I don't know. I'm not going to go there. But bottom line, Americans have the right to protest. These players did it peacefully. They did it without infringing on anyone else's rights. The president should be applauding them for seeing injustice and using their platform as celebrities in this country to speak out against it. So that jambalaya was kind of heavy this week. I am very full. I need a break to digest. So CJ, take us on over to break.
Okay, on the other side of the break, we have another performance from Ish Illa on Shout Out. Please stay tuned. You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for Shout Out Part 2, the picks and the finale. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout out from the crew. Goddess Kelli, over to you.
All right, we've got another performance from Ish Illa. So I'm hoping that, I can get on board. I did like his voice. I heard some potential. So I'm going to cross my fingers during this track. So let's hear Ain't Going Back.
Street dreamer, street. Sometimes you wake up stressed, put it ass up on your chest. Out there trying to get it, don't care about what you did. Sometimes you choose the wrong path before it finally clicked. My wife, my kids, my family, on this. I never knew how much I would sacrifice for love. Had to go through changes, big, young, get dumb. Felonies and dead homies made a G grow up. I'm changed, but it's coming so low. So I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. Right around my old hood, right around my old blocks, where we used to bang at, where we used to slang rock, man. Look at life done changed, yeah. Coming from that south side, Chicago to GI. It's pushed up in my blood that I had to be a ride. Pops was BPS, hit that chest and do his 5 up. Then kill his demons so they plug me forward. No. Street dreamer, street. Said I hear him keep him calling and it's always dirty Monday. Street dreamer, street. Man, I played this hand too long, now it's time to go with holy. So I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. Was messed up, didn't know why. Quick to squabble die, quick to hit a lick. If you're playing, homie, I'm with it. Throwback visions of youngsters hustling just to survive. Copper A-ball and the cola P and go to school fly. I wanted the classic white Reeboks with the baby blue Jabos. Watching big homies hop out the cutlass on hundreds folks. We were so young we didn't know what we were doing was wrong. Infatuated with the streets and Jesus still saved my soul. So I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind. I ain't going back to where I used to be. I'm leaving it all behind.
That was Ain't Going Back, so let's find out if the track is getting a shout out or the mute button. Well, I'd try and wake myself up a little bit. I'm going to go over to our expert first. So, Dunn, what did you think about this one?
Well, I hate to get closer to Goddess Kelli on this opinion. She's sort of the Simon Cowell of this American Idol challenge we're doing here. I'm going to say I'm going to still be in the shout out because I like his voice, but this one I'm very close to the mute button. Going contrary to what Goddess Kelli said about him the first time around, I'm going to have to agree, but in this sense, I think that he sold out to what he had in the first one. The first one, he showed himself as a great singer, vocalist, melodic, range, and all of that. This time he tried to be so commercial with a normal loop. It limited him. Why limit a great vocal range with a track that's limited into a loop? So you take the limitations away from the creativity of your vocal. This one here was very boring. It was a complete rip-off of the acapella side. In other words, when they got away from the group, that's a complete rip-off of another song. I don't want to get into that portion of it, but I was disappointed in that execution of it. When you have a talent of his abilities, stay true to it. So if people that Kelli was shooting out earlier, then that's okay. Leave them behind. Find your own niche. There's a whole following that would like what you're doing. Stay true to what you do. This one here was more of a sellout for me. So I'm still going to give him a shout-out, but just barely on this one, sad to say.
All right, I agree with you, the fact that it was extremely boring. And, just to get a little nitpicky, I am, a grammar fiend. I'm a writer, and I like grammar, and ain't just kind of bothers me a little bit. But that being said, with a name like Ish Illa, I was expecting somebody to be a little bit more on the hard side. I don't know what it is about that name, but Ish Illa just kind of kind of ends like Killa. And I thought we were going to hear some hardness to it. And then in the first track when he had, that excellent voice, even though I hated the song, and then this one, the fact that he used the contraction ain't, which is improper English, I thought that this song was going to be harder than the last one. Where in fact it was softer and way more boring. So mute it. First Lady, what'd you think?
Well, you can't come to the hood if you don't like improper English. But anyway, Goddess Kelli, I'm going to give, see, Dunn, when we are on the fence of a song that we didn't really like, it could have been a shout out or hit the mute button, we give it a yo. So I agree with you. I'm going to give this a yo. He still has a lot of style with his voice and everything, but the song just was not really hitting on too much for me. It was kind of boring, as everybody said. So I'm going to give it a yo.
And just for my street cred, I live in the hood and I don't go out after dark without a gun. But anyway, CJ, let's hear what you say.
Street cred. Okay, all right, got me on that one.
I'm sorry about street cred and all that, but I just try to live in this world. I don't try to make it. If that's the word that you can use to express yourself, that's fine. That's the only thing that I just wanted to be able to be a word of expression. As far as Ish Illa's going, is the song and his voice, if you heard his voice, you know that he has talent. He can sing to any genre of music. And this song here is kind of weird because I've heard it sung not to the hip-hop version, but to the acoustic guitar version.
Right. There you go.
Which is an entirely different, vibe altogether. But it highlights his voice more. I think he needs to find himself, like you said. There's people out here that would follow him if there was something to follow. But he needs to stay true, and he needs to try to get a voice. And I know that's something that they don't want to hear, but get some lessons. It really pays off.
All right, Spitface, what's your opinion?
This track is not my favorite track from his collection, but I do like the fact that he's experimenting. But sometimes stuff that you do in the lab, you don't put out. You leave in the lab. You go, let me try it. Let me see how it go. And you might let a few friends check it out. I'm gonna have to hit the mute button on this one. Even though I like his style, but I like what he's working with, I'm gonna have to give him the mute button on this particular track.
All right, so that is the end of Shout Out. If you like what you heard from Ish Illa, you can check him out at ishilla.com. That's ishilla.com. And if you would like to be heard or have any comments, you can send your emails and tracks to panties@oldgrumpyradio.com. Now it is time to go over to the First Lady for the picks.
It's time for the picks. Will the First Lady keep her crown from last year's NFL season, or will a new champion rise? Well, as Spitface said, our production crew, they've really been still on their holiday vacation, and they've just been a little bit slow getting back into things, so we do not have our results from last week. So let's get to the new picks. The Titans versus the Chiefs. And we got some heavy money in these picks. All right, we got $500,000 for a win, minus $750,000 for the loss. And Dunn, trust me, you can still win this. All right, just have a perfect record. Okay, so let's go to the first Titans versus the Chiefs. I'll start it off. I am going with the Chiefs. I know the Titans are in the playoffs, but they're just there because they just happen to win. There's nothing special about the Titans. CJ, who do you have?
I got the Chiefs.
Got it, Kelli. Who do you have?
I don't trust Marcus Mariota, but I do trust that those players in red have got Andy Reid's back. They're going to play to keep his job for the Chiefs.
Spitface?
It's going to be a cold game in Kansas City, and the KC Masterpiece will win.
All right, and Dunn?
I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs on this one.
Okay,
smart man. Titans, but I'm the Chiefs.
All right, let's get to the next game, which is, people are saying this game is a pick. No, they're not saying it's a pick 'em, but I have the Falcons versus the Rams. It's going to be a good game. $750,000 for the win, minus $750,000 for the loss. CJ, who do you have, Falcons or the Rams?
The Rams.
The Rams all the way. Got it, Kelli?
I want the Falcons to win, but intellectually, I think I have to go with the Rams.
So you're going to go with the Rams. Spit face.
This game kind of scares me because, the Falcons have, they kind of win when you don't think they're going to win and lose when you think they should lose and not lose, so they kind of, but I'm going to go with the Rams got some mojo going. I'm going with the Rams.
You're going with the Rams. And Dunn?
Well, I'm with the Falcons on this one. I'm with the great ATL. That's right.
Yeah, we are all on the fence on this one. You know what? I'm going to say the Falcons are going to win because I think experience is going to pay out. I think experience will succeed. So I'm going to go with the Falcons. Moving along, this is another tough one. The Bills versus the Jaguars. $500,000 for the win, minus $500,000 for the loss. Goddess Kelli.
Based on some injury news I heard, I am going to go with the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm. Spit face.
I'm going for the Bills.
You want to be the Bills. Dunn?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with the Jaguars. I got some history there with the Jaguars. I'm going to go with it.
Okay, well, you got a history with a lot of teams, don't you? The Tampa Bay, the Jaguars. All right. Well, Goddess Kelli, you're right, because Shady McCoy is not playing in this game. So without Shady McCoy, I definitely got to go with the Jaguars. And CJ?
I'm going with the Jaguars.
The Jaguars, okay. The Panthers versus the Saints. $750,000 for the win, minus $750,000 for the loss. Okay, spit face. Who do you have? Tough one, huh?
Here we go. Spit face.
Spit face. Who do you have? All right. Well, let's move on from spit face. Something happened to spit face. All right, Dunn, who do you have?
Well, in this one, I'm going to actually go with the Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints on this one. Yeah, it's not going to be the Aints on this one. They're going to be the Saints.
They're going to be the Saints. All right. Spit face. Who do you have?
I'm looking at the Panthers. I'm looking at Drew Brees, and I kind of have a feeling that we're going to see Clam Newton instead of Cam Newton. So I'm going with the Saints.
Clam Newton. Oh my gosh. You know what? I picked the Panthers last week over the Falcons, and we know how that turned out. Every time I put my trust in Cam he just can't do it for me. Oh. Well, you know what? I took a chance with the Falcons. I'm going to go with the Saints. But I think the Panthers can win. I'm going to say that, but I just can't bet on them right now, so I'm going to go with the Saints. CJ?
I'm going with those Saints.
And the Saints come marching in. All right, a little hodgepodge. Who will have more passing yards? Matty Ice Ryan or Drew Brees? $900,000 for the win, minus $900,000 for the loss. Okay. Spitface, start off with you.
I do think that Matt Ryan is going to put up a bunch of yards and they'll still lose, but I don't trust the Panthers defense to really contain Drew Brees. So I'm going Drew Brees.
Okay. Done.
I happen to agree there. I think Drew Brees is going to have a terrific day, only because of the Panthers' defense, and he's going to run a lot of yards. The Panthers may even win, but Drew Brees is going to have a great day. He's going to have a great day.
Well, I'm going to go with Brees also, even though I have a feeling that Matty Ice can put up some yards against the Rams. But the Rams' defense is pretty good in their secondary, so I'm going to go with Brees because they're going against the Panthers. CJ, who do you have?
Breeze.
Breeze all the way. Goddess Kelly?
Man, First Lady trying to cheat. She skipped me on the last one. I'm going with the Saints and Drew Brees.
I'll wait. I thought
You mean on the
got
Panthers
missed on one of those.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I did miss you. So what do you have for the Panthers and the Saints?
The Saints.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I sure didn't call.
No, I think you missed one of the other games.
Huh?
God, did we miss you on one of the games?
She got it now. She missed me on Panthers and Saints.
Yeah, Panthers and Saints. I did. Yeah, Panthers and Saints. I was trying my new methodology. But anyway, let's go to the option. We have Alabama versus Georgia. Now, usually we have some picks from the college, the collegiate level, but this year we didn't do too many. Actually, this is the first pick from the collegiate level. And so let's go with Alabama versus Georgia. $1 million for the win and minus $1 million. This is an option, so as you don't have to respond to this question. So I am going with Roll Tide. I'm going to go with Alabama. I'm going to take the option and go. I got nothing to lose. Alabama. CJ, who do you have?
I'm going with that Tide rolling.
All right, you got Alabama.
Yeah.
Goddess Kelly.
I don't like Alabama, but I trust the hell out of Nick Saban as a coach, so Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, Alabama. Spitface, are you taking the option?
Yeah, given, Alabama is just the outright favorite, but I grew up in Chicago, so I go for the underdogs. So I'm going to go for the dogs.
Okay, you're taking Georgia. And Dunn? You
I
don't
concur
have
on
to
the,
take this. It's an option.
Oh, no, I'm going to weigh in on every one of them. I think Georgia Dogs got the mojo on this one. For some reason or another, they just playing with that spirit. I'm with Georgia on this one.
Okay, you're with Georgia. So we'll see how we do for next weekend. We'll get after our productions assistants. It's time for the panel to give their outrageous predictions. Let me start with CJ. What is your outrageous prediction?
Oh, goodness, girl. My outrageous prediction is that a tarot will take over the World W Darts Association in England next week.
Okay. Goddess Kelly, what is your prediction?
Well, Donovan McNabb was just fired from ESPN. My outrageous prediction is he is going to be arrested yet again for DUI.
That may not be outrageous. So sad. I like Donovan McNabb too. But anyway, Dunn, what is your outrageous prediction?
Okay, well, I can't help but sort of go with one of their most outrageous predictions, and that is that Mr. Trump is not going to tweet a single tweet this week. That's my outrageous prediction.
That is outrageous.
Good luck on that one.
Don't go to Vegas.
Spitface, what's your outrageous prediction?
My outrageous prediction is that Tony Dungy will follow John Gruden and come out of the booth and go back to coaching.
I don't know. He's doing a lot of spiritual things. I'm not sure about all that. Well, anyway,
they need some prayers in the NFL after Donald Trump.
My outrageous prediction is the Clintons will be found guilty of fraud with their charity. Just ask the people of Haiti. That's a shade. But anyway, behind every woman are other great women. Your mother, your aunt, your sister, and your female friends. However, there are young girls, teenagers, young women that do not have positive female role models in their lives. Therefore, my message today is to mentor another female to build better self-esteem, confidence, and worthiness. I strongly feel that Goddess Kelly, CJ, and I inspire other women through our platform on this show. Dunn Pearson, Jr., It's been a pleasure having you on our show. And how can our listeners learn more about you and your new book, Masculine Vulnerabilities?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me as a guest this week. I've enjoyed myself beyond belief. This is a wonderful show and a wonderful platform. And if I may take it from the spirituality of masculine vulnerabilities, I want to say God bless each and every one of you. My book, Masculine Vulnerabilities, is available at hollismedia.net. That's HOLLIS media.net. It is also, of course, available at all your regulars, Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, et cetera, et cetera. But to get a more upfront and personal view of myself, of course, you can go to my name, Dunn Pearson, DUNNPEARSN.com, and you can find out more about me, or you can go to hollismedia.net, and there's full information about my career and my book, Masculine Vulnerabilities. And I want to say to both men and women out here, number one, men, I take the approach that we must huddle up amongst ourselves. This has been a sports talk, and many times we men, we talk in huddle, and we huddle up and we talk about sports. Well, my book takes it a little further, and women get a chance to know what we believe beyond the sports and what our normal bravado that we carry as men. Women will get an inside look as to what men actually think. And from my unique experience of being in the entertainment business, my book gives a different view on different topics. So once again, thank you, everyone, and God bless each and every one of you.
All right, thank you. Goddess Kelli, how can listeners check you out on the other broadcasts?
Well, you can follow me on social media as myself. I'll spell my name out to you. It's kind of weird. It's KELLIERUTTAR. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as that name. You can follow my show on Twitter and Facebook at The Red Zone Live. We are live every Friday night on blogtalkradio.com/momentumshift. Me and my partner, Rashawn, we bring sexy back to sports. We are unscripted, uncensored, and just completely raw sports talk to the real sports fans out there. So be sure to check us out. You can also find me on demand at any time on my sponsor website, goingfor2.com. That's going, FOR2.com.
All right, thank you. You can visit CJ on Facebook /Sabore. That's spelled SABOIRE. You can check me out on Twitter, Cheryl Smith at First Lady of Sports. Please visit our new website, bronzepantiesports.com, where you can find links to each of us, original episodes, and the Bearskin Lounge with Dizzy Mack. Please enjoy the performance at the end of the show. This has been Cheryl Smith, CJ, Goddess Kelli, Spitface, and our very special guest, Dunn Pearson, Jr. You have been listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports.
You are mine. Sunshine on a cloudy day. The finest sculptor's hands couldn't capture your essence with the most expensive clay. Simply because your beauty starts internally, and my love ain't going nowhere. I am yours for eternity. I want you to be that Proverbs 31 type of woman who can overcome any obstacle and never be fazed. A lady who understands that charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. I want to give you that agape love that 1 Corinthians speak of, that is patient, kind, and that will never end. I want you to be a strong-minded sister, the Mrs. to my Mr., the Mia to my Remus. A woman who keeps her eyes on the prize and never lets jealousy come between us. You see, my heart was barren like Sarah's womb until love was conceived, and you made me believe that we could coexist and do this. When I think of how much you cared for me and feel that empty space, I first give it unto God for His amazing grace. You see, I was a lonely man, afraid of rejection, lacking direction, until you came along and, following the tracks of my tears, wrapped me in your arms and showed me love and affection. Je ne sais quitterai jamais, j'intimerai toujours. Translation, I will love you forever and leave you never. The Lord revealed you to me in a dream that time that we must be together. I can't wait for that day When you're walking down that aisle, wearing the most elegant dress, the same colors, your smile. As we take our bows and look into each other's eyes, my mind fast forwards to waking up to a blessing every time the sun rises. Now there will be some challenges along the way. The devil will try to attack us without warning. We may not even see him coming. But I'd rather have bad times with you than good times with another woman. Before I could blink, he blessed me with you, and that's exceeding abundantly above all that I could ever ask or think. Ever since the day I met you, you filled my world with so much love. I prayed for a soulmate, and he sent me a blessing down from up above. My love, I want you to know that I've missed you since birth. Also that I am a real man who understands a woman's worth. Street lady, it is your love that I hunger. And I'm willing to wait forever because what doesn't kill me can only make me stronger. I have been denied the pleasure of your presence, so make yourself seen. And I know your heart can hear me because my pulse is racing. So I'll be waiting for you at the beginning of every morning and at the end of every day. I can't wait for our souls to collide. My beautiful bride, my fictitious